In this video, I'm going to be ranking all 32 tracks from the beloved and timeless game Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart is a legendary series that dates all the way back to 1992, when Mario Kart Super came out. This game was full of potential, and luckily that potential slowly became more and more realized over the years, with the quality of the games getting better and better. Eventually, we made it to Mario Kart Wii, which came out in 2008. To me, this is when the series and the idea of Mario Kart became fully realized. Going back to this game, I realized there's way more amazing courses than I remember. Unlike most games I talk about, this one has very few bad tracks, so get ready to hear me glaze the crap out of this game. Now, I'll be ranking these levels based entirely on my enjoyment of them. This means I'll take into account the gameplay, the obstacles and ramps, the atmosphere and scenery, or anything else I like or dislike. You'll start to notice throughout this list that I ranked all of the original courses quite a bit higher than the remakes on average. This is because they're better. I don't know why, but they're all a lot better. Anyway, let's get into it. I don't think it should be a surprise to anyone that the SNES remake of Mario Circuit 3 is the worst stage in this game. In terms of gameplay, this is one of the most dull courses. In terms of design, this is also one of the most dull courses. I'm actually having a tough time describing why I dislike this level because there's literally nothing to it. No risks are taken here, just a flat, boring level. That's 99% of my takeaway here. The other 1% though is a tiny compliment I can give. The music fits really well for some reason. I don't know why, but the music sounds really blocky and fits with the very simple and old school look of this level. But mostly I just want you to remember that I hate this level. It sucks. I don't know exactly how I would describe why this level is so bad. It has a spooky vibe to it with the ghosts and the limited vision, but if you take that away, you have probably the most boring track in the game. This feels like an interlude of a level. It's so short and uneventful that the most dynamic part of it is the 90-degree turns that you have to do. And you know your course sucks when the best part about it is 90-degree turns. This feels like I'm playing a demo of what could have, and let's be honest, should have been a way cooler level. There's a lot of really cool ghost-themed levels in all the Mario games. I'm not sure why this one is so awful. Shy Guy Beach is weirdly bad. In comparison to most of the decoration you see in many other tracks in this game, you realize the creators could have done a lot better than this. This level, as well as many other remakes from this game, feel very simple and under-designed compared to the original tracks you'll see later on the list. This one, Shy Guy Beach, is the embodiment of this problem. The level feels so small and unatmospheric. Yeah, this level has anti-atmosphere. It feels fake. There are a few slightly redeeming qualities to this level though, mainly the pirate ship that shoots bombs that you need to avoid. That's actually pretty creative. There's also the crabs. They make this level slightly better. Other than that, this level fails in a lot more ways than it succeeds. The remake of the GameCube Mario Circuit is probably the most forgettable course in the whole game. I actually forgot this level exists. There's quite a few Mario and Peach Castle themed courses here, and most of them are pretty mediocre. This one's the worst though. There's nothing memorable going on in this level. Every single other level in the game is at least a little memorable, even if it's for something bad. This level is nothing. The only slightly stimulating or cool part about this level is little gopher fields at the end, but that doesn't even really fit into the theme of the level. It just feels like it got slapped on at the end. As far as the original courses go, Mario Circuit is probably the worst. This whole level feels extremely uninspired and derivative. Almost every decoration in the background is from an already existing thing in the Mario lore. There's Peach's castle and the surrounding greenery, which look like they're ripped straight out of Super Mario 64. There's sugarcane poles, which are already in multiple games, and everything else just looks really standard for a Mario game. The gameplay and course itself are also nothing special. The chain chomp that you need to avoid is kind of interesting, I guess, but the rest of this level does nothing for me. Mario Raceway is a good level, I guess. You got the tube, and the billboard right there is kinda something. Yeah, this level isn't really doing much. I'm not sure what the pitch was for this stage. It's called Mario Raceway, but if you take away that one billboard, it's just a raceway. Anyway, this level isn't awful. You can boost through some grass for a small shortcut, and the train can change in elevation at times, but other than that, this level isn't doing much at all. Grumble Volcano really feels like it missed my expectations. When I think of what the name Grumble Volcano sounds like, I would think you get shot up in a cannon to the top of a volcano and you get to drive down, or you get to start at the bottom of a volcano, drive up and into the volcano through a tube or something, and then you find your way out. But no, this level has no big volcano to climb. It stays pretty flat through the whole course. There's a bit of lava on the sides of the track and some fire at some points that makes for a decent obstacle, but this track mostly just feels like the developers forgot to finish it, or just didn't have any good ideas. Desert Hills is one of the 2 desert courses in this game, and it's easily the worst of the 2. Literally every element of this level is done better in the other desert level. This stage's main gimmick is that the roads are winding and you gotta not get hit by the prickly guys. That's about it. Nothing else of value here. Just like the courses before this one on the list, the main thing that makes this level bad is the fact that there's nothing going on here. There's nothing to like or hate. It's just a track. Wow, Peach Beach is a lot worse than I remember. This level is so simple and boring, there's no jumps or big obstacles or anything. All there is are the cataquacks at the shore of the beach, and honestly, I like them. Having something chase you as you approach it brings a unique element of gameplay, but outside of that, this level has nothing to offer. The design of it is really derivative as well. This feels like a mix between a boring beach level and Delfino Square, which, by the way, is a way better course than this one. Moo Moo Meadows is a disappointment to me. I really like the idea of this level, going to a farm and driving around a bunch of livestock, but I really think they could have done a lot more with this concept. If you look at the gameplay here, outside of a few cows, this is really just a standard boring course. I feel like there's so many things they could have added to this course to make it a lot more interesting, like a few tractors that you have to avoid, or bales of hay that slow you down if you run into them, or putting a ramp on top of a farmhouse that you can boost off of. The possibilities were endless, but the makers of this level kinda dropped the ball here. When comparing Sherbetland to the other snow-themed level in the game, DK Summit, you can immediately see why one of them is super awesome, and the other one is Sherbetland. Aside from everything looking cold, this level's lacking in the atmosphere department, and to me, it's for one main reason. The design of the ice on the floor looks so flat and unnatural. I know that it's ice, and ice can be flat sometimes, but this floor takes me out of the course and reminds me that I'm just holding a Wii remote and playing a track designed by a computer. Now, with the complaining out of the way, the rest of this level is pretty decent. I like how the track design makes sure there are some tight turns that can actually be pretty difficult if you suck. There's also the penguins, which are both an object and a fun atmosphere building piece that helps this level be a little better than just awful. Outside of that, this level is pretty boring and standard. Dry Dry Ruins makes me realize how much of a bias I have against desert courses in any game. As far as desert courses go, Dry Dry Ruins isn't even bad. I'd even say it's pretty good, but it's a desert level, so I hate it. Just look at these boring brown-yellow colors that are everywhere. It doesn't look exciting, it looks lifeless. And I don't mean it looks like no effort was put into it, I mean it actually looks like no sustainable life could thrive out here because it's a freaking desert. All that being said, I like how the course is very hilly and curved, it makes for pretty fun gameplay. I also like the small indoor section where the sand is slowly filling up the place lap by lap. If this level were any other theme besides desert, I would like it a lot more. Yoshi Falls is a relatively regular track, just being a big oval, but for how simple it is, I think it's actually pretty decent. The nice mix of waterfalls and jungle makes for a cool vibe, and I like I don't know if I would call them shortcuts, but the little deviations you can take to get power-ups are pretty cool. Other than that, this level is a bit boring and unoriginal, but that's not too bad. DK's Jungle Parkway is on the weaker side of jungle and forest tracks. I think the best thing about this level is easily the environment. I like how the road is slightly curved upward at the end, like this trail was just made by cars driving on it over and over again. I like the yellow lake and the boat driving across it. What I don't really love about this level is a few small things. First, the boost ramp is really cool. It's the only one in the game that looks like this, but it leads you right into a dead end and you need to turn immediately, which just feels kinda awkward. Second is the route itself feels a little stale in design. All we're working with here is just some regular twists and turns with a small interruption every once in a while. All in all, this level's good, but not great. Peach Gardens is one of the more solid remake levels. This level feels very dynamic and fun the whole time. The theme of Peach's garden goes over really well as you get a very monarchical and royal look, mixed with some gardens that are perfectly designed to race around. One thing that this level does really well is keep you on your toes, since there's multiple times in the course where you can choose which way you want to go, so you gotta make a split-second decision every time to get the best route. Especially the section with the chain chomps moving randomly around this maze, they ensure that you go a different way every lap. All around, it's a solid course. Luigi Circuit is a very well-balanced level. As the very first course that many people start with, it allows for a very sensical introduction to the world of Mario Kart. This level isn't doing anything crazy, but everything it does pretty well. Like the last part of the course with like 12 speed ramps back to back, this isn't any insane or adventurous design, but it's still so satisfying to play. For being the intro to the game, this level is pretty good. I'm not sure why, but I don't really mind the simple nature of Bowser Castle 3. It's a very straightforward level, but it jumps ahead a lot of the other retro courses for two reasons. First, I think the atmosphere is a lot stronger. You have the big lava lake surrounding you, as well as the stormy clouds and Bowser's Castle in the distance. The tone here is really consistent, and though this Bowser's Castle isn't quite as immediately intimidating as a few other courses ahead, it gets the job done. Second, I think the gameplay here, while simple, does everything right. Almost this whole track feels interesting, even if it's by relatively simple things. There's the thwomps, there's a few jumps over lava, there's some thinner roads to drive on. It's all simple, but it's done pretty well. Wario's Gold Mine is yet another example of a well-designed and well-put-together track. In this course, you drive through a cave over pretty thin roads, and there's big carts riding along the course at points that can knock you over if you're not careful. I feel like this level might be one of the hardest courses in the game, since there's no railings on like half of the tracks, so it's really easy to fall off. As far as things I don't like, I don't really feel like this course is that interesting. There's a few dips and boosts, but other than that, it's a pretty standard track. For a Bowser-themed course, N64's Bowser's Castle does a very effective job of doing its task. Out of all the Bowser tracks in this game, this one easily feels the most haunted, with its dark, moody sky, very shadowy and scary looking rooms, and oh so haunting music. The best part about this level is its very full display of emotion and tone. This level is meant to be scary, and that's what it is. Now, everything else about this level is good, not great. To be more specific, I wish the gameplay was a little more interesting. The most interesting thing here is these two thwomps with a mind of their own who appear out of nowhere, track your movement, and slam right down in front of you. That's super awesome, and sometimes very annoying. Outside of the thwomps though, there's a cool jump here and there, but this level is definitely lacking in the gameplay itself. Still a very solid level. Mushroom Gorge is a really well-made level. The design here for all the nature in the big cave sets such a whimsical vibe, and the big mushrooms are so much fun to jump around on. They create such a unique element of gameplay that feels very distinct and connected to this level only. The only thing that's really stopping this level from being any higher is the fact that I feel like Mario Kart does a lot of jungly, foresty, naturey courses, and within the context of all those tracks, this one doesn't really stick out that much besides that one cave part. Waluigi Stadium is one of the few courses in this game that are a little worse than I remember as a kid. I remember this track being jam-packed with cool spots to do tricks, funny obstacles, and some anti-hero Waluigi energy. Maybe I was mixing this stage up with Waluigi Pinball from the DS, which by the way is a way better level, because this level just doesn't really hold up as much as I wished it would. Don't get me wrong, I like this level, the theme is pretty cool and there's some cool moments, but for the most part, this level is just doing things that I'm already used to at this point in the game. Doing tricks on the half-pipe ramps, getting stuck in some sort of fluid that makes you go really slow, all of that has been done a million times by now, and it gets just a little boring here. Still a good level, but not as amazing as I remember. Daisy Circuit is a joy to play every time I have the chance to do so. The vibe here is amazing. This whole track is just a beautiful little town during the sunset, and everything looks very pink and orange, making for a very vibrant experience. The gameplay itself is pretty nice too. There's a little secret boost you can take in the middle of a house, and some fun turns, but I mostly like this level for the way it looks. I find it so funny that there happens to be two Donkey Kong courses where you get shot in a cannon to the top of a mountain and then race back down. That's so random, but luckily both of these tracks are really great. This one, DK Mountain, is my lesser favorite of the two, but it's still pretty solid. The big jumps that you make as you race down the mountain feel uniquely epic and dramatic. The rest of this level gives you a bunch of cool half-pipe jumps to do, and some more dynamic gameplay. As you'll soon see, this gameplay is very similar to DK Summit. The reason why this one isn't quite as good is because it doesn't feel as distinct. The jungle theme is pretty cool, but I feel like it's been done too many times. And though this is one of the better courses, that aspect still holds it back a little bit. Koopa Cave is such a great level. The main gimmick here is that you can drive around in very shallow water and it actually makes you go faster, so you want to stay in it. This is a pretty cool idea, and the creators of this game took it one step further by adding an underwater section at the end of the lap. This part is so freaking fun for some reason. You can see the big eels swimming around as you're playing. That's so sick. There are a few sections of this level that feel a tiny bit boring. My rule of thumb is that if there's ever Goombas just wandering around, you know the developers probably just ran out of ideas for what to put there. Still a great level overall. As far as all the Bowser-themed courses go, this one is clearly the best. The setting here makes you feel like you're traveling in a haunted mechanical castle. The warped hallway at the beginning both sets a creepy vibe and also allows the player to perform some jumps at a super dynamic part of the track. Then you get to this room, where magic robot Bowser shoots fireballs at you and you have to boost on the ramps to get around him. This is one of the best little sections of the whole game. After that, nothing too special happens, but compared to the other two Bowser's castles, which are both kind of mediocre, this one is easily my favorite. DK Summit is one of the most aesthetically enveloping tracks in the game. Everything on this mountain is just caked in snow, and you get to slide down over and over again. The gameplay is pretty great as well, due to the spots where there's higher levels of snow to make your players slow down if they don't avoid it, and using ramps to do cool tricks because, hey, that's the thing that you actually do when you snowboard. That's cool. The only thing here that I don't really love is the song choice. It just sounds like a generic racing song. It's not bad, but it doesn't really feel like it fits into the vibe of this icy level super well. Maple Treeway has a perfect balance of both nice visuals and fun gameplay. You get to ride around this little forest during the sunset and it just looks really nice. The gameplay can be pretty dynamic as well. You drive up a tree branch, over the top of a tree, and over a big net. There are some cool shortcuts toward the end of this level as well, making this course exciting from front to back. My only tiny complaint here is that this level can be so consistent to the point where it feels a little tonally monotonous. The thick orange look can get a little tiring, especially when everything in this level is just a bunch of trees. If it had some sort of small detour like a little house or something you can drive through, this level would be perfect. Delfino Square is a perfect example of how to do a remake level correctly. This level is based on the same level from the DS, and I gotta say, this redo takes it to the next level. I like the original version on the DS, but the better design really brings this course to life. Also, unlike almost every other remake in this game, Delfino Square feels like I'm riding on more than just a track that's surrounded by a theme. No, the track embodies the theme. There's crates to run into, little shortcuts you can do, a bridge to jump across, and a bunch of buildings that surround you like a maze. To add on top of that, the music here is top notch. I don't know what it is about whatever instrument is playing here, but it sounds exactly how this level looks. The small thing holding it back is the gameplay itself could be a little more dynamic. You're mostly just riding on flat ground and doing regular 90-degree turns. But for what it does it masterfully. Rainbow Road is a timeless classic. Even the developers knew that the foundation of this level was perfect, because they've put it in like every Mario Kart game. This level needs no explanation. You get to drive around a super wavy track in space. The atmosphere here is incredible, and unlike a lot of courses in this game, this one is really hard. Like, really hard. I knew this was hard as a kid, but even as an adult, I struggled to stay on the path all the time. This level's amazing, and I would put it a little bit higher, but I'm a little less impressed by this one just because the idea of Rainbow Road is already well established by this point in the franchise, so it hits a little less hard. If it's your favorite, that's absolutely fantastic for you. It's just not mine. Ever since I was a kid, I was always fascinated by this level. But even more than that, I was confused at my own fascination. I mean, this is just driving around through a city, so what's so interesting about it? Now that I'm older and writing this script, I thought about it and realized that this is the only course that kind of feels like regular life. That's why it sticks out so much. Nothing here is super hyperbolized like all the other courses. There's no big monsters or crazy jumps. This level gets all of its adrenaline from two very human fundamentals. First, the rushed atmosphere of a packed city in the nighttime. And second, the music, which matches this level really well. You mix those two in with these RNG cars that could hit you at any moment, and you have a near perfect level. In addition to that, the background here is super well done and makes this course such a vibe to play. What an amazing track. Toad's Factory is the epitome of everything you can do right in a racing track. The This level has a very thick and well-established theme to it, being this steampunky, dirty factory that all the toads waste away inside of. Fortunately, they also designed it perfectly to be a racing course just for you. Anyway, an issue that I have with a lot of courses in this game is that they don't do a good job of implementing their themes and surroundings into the gameplay. But Toad's Factory does that the whole time. This entire course is being affected by either moving platforms that can slow you down or speed you up, or machinery that can flatten you, or sludge that can slow you down. But no matter what the stuff is that's affecting you, it will be entertaining and super fun. This level's amazing. When making this list, I did not want to put Coconut Mall at the very top, since this is everyone's favorite track. But after playing it over and over and over again the last few weeks, I really can't deny that this is the best course in the whole game. Coconut Mall's unique structure allows for some of the most chaotic gameplay that one can experience when playing this game. This level is so impossible to predict, with things changing between laps and there being like a million little shortcuts that you always need to be on your feet. The setting of the level is so well implemented and makes you really feel like you're driving in the middle of a store, and in some cases, you actually are driving in the middle of a store. Point is, this level is really enveloping. The next great thing about this level is the gameplay. Like I said before, this course is unpredictable. You have these two escalators, and one of them is going up while the other one's going down, but they switch each lap, and there's also two sets of them that are going in opposite ways, so it's impossible to remember what the next ones will do. Then there's the cars at the very end of each lap that still to this day are impossible for me to predict. I crash into these all the time and I feel so dumb every time I do it. But that's just a part of the stupid fun that is this level. The last thing that makes this course so great is the music. Everyone knows that Coconut Mall has some of the best music in any video game ever, so I won't try and say something special about it. You know how good it is already. My main point here is that this level is perfect from front to back. Anyway, that's all the levels. If you disagree with me and hate me and my channel now, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. Otherwise, please understand that Mario Kart Wii is indeed a video game. Thank you.